Good morning and welcome back to the Sporting Club Ireland podcast weekend review. Delighted to be joined once again by formerly Galway footballer and GA pundit Michael Meehan. We've a fair bit to get through. We'll start at Croke Park after another brilliant day for Camogie. Cork edging Galway by a single point in another classic, and Antrim and Armagh also leaving as All-Ireland champions. We have another world champion to celebrate in boxing with Aaron McKenna getting over the line. Callum Walsh kept his unbeaten record. There's plenty of rugby to get through. Athletics, the Dublin Horse Show, and football. So, Michael, good morning.
Hey, Mark, how are you?
I'm good now. This is our second go. So, we just lost 3 minutes there, and you can give a 30 seconds of what you did Saturday evening.
Yeah, Streets of Galway, Mark. It's an AK in Galway City, all the way around the city. Sellout crowd, 4,000 people were doing it. It's run by the Galway City Harriers. It was the 40th year of it. Huge crowd. It's always great crack. People are lining the streets, clapping you along. And yeah, real good vibes. And when the weather is good, it always helps. So we did that. We enjoyed that. So that was my weekend.
That was it. There was a lot more to it the first time, but he has a half nine. He's got to get out of here half nine, so a lot to fit in. Anyways, listen, I've been forgetting a key thing. We now have a lot of listeners, and if you could subscribe, even if you don't listen, we'd really appreciate that. It turns out that's very important, and as an amateur podcaster, I've just found that out. So please subscribe and tell your friends to subscribe. So. Right, we'll get straight into the Camogie, Michael. I'll let you give me your thoughts on Cork and Galway.
Yeah, so I was watching that now with a few people, and I suppose it was one thing that stood out in the first half was the physicality. It was all through the game, the fitness and the power and the speed and the skill of the Galway and the Cork ladies was phenomenal. They put on an exhibition, it has to be said. And it was the same last year in the final, and it picked up where it left off last year. It was an edgy affair. There was a red card for Cork, so a lot of that carried through. And no one was willing to kind of yield. But first half Galway were probably the happier team, certainly the stronger team. They had started well. We knew that Cork coming in from the semi-finals, they looked the sharpest in of all the 4 teams in the semi-finals. But Galway came out fighting and looked really good, and it's just. Like it was tit for tat, and I suppose a few of us were talking like it was who's going to get a goal. You felt a goal was a big score in the match, and 2 came in quick succession then for Cork. Well worked goals, and that's invariably what got them over the line. Galway were fighting back and were pushing to get those late scores, and left a few behind them towards the end. But it was a remarkable contest. But yeah, overall feeling was it was physical. There was a lot of tackles at the end. There was no Galway girl getting in for a goal chance at the end. They were being stopped, but the ref kind of had set out a stall from the first half, and it was a physical game. But yeah, Galway can be very proud of their efforts. Just fallen short. Probably Cork with the goals just did enough to get there, I think.
Yeah, goals win games. No, it was I thought it was a high caliber game, as you said. Quite physical. There was some spectacular scores on show as well. So, no, look, it was a good advert for Camogie again. We've got our Galway tinted eyes, so I felt at half time things were looking positive. That lead, and I was like, oh, maybe it's in another day for Galway, but. To be fair to Cork, they had a bit of a surge in that second half, and as you said, goals really do win games. And McCarthy's goal coming through the middle, it was good skill bouncing it. And could the goalie have got to it? Maybe. I thought maybe, without being critical, I thought maybe that was one that could have been saved personally. But hey, look, it's fine margins. And and then the second goal, from the long one over the top, it's just a look
flick on. And
it's just a look of And that was it then. And I suppose at the time, right, I thought Carrie Dolan's short free. I thought it was the right thing to do. Hindsight is a great thing, maybe, since they only lost by a point.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know.
That's a fact. It just, I suppose they were so far back at that stage. It was a 4 or 5, and they felt they needed it. Time was ticking, but yeah, invariably they had the chances. They had a couple more after
the wides.
That.
Wides got them.
Exactly. So it just. At the time, I think I agree with you that they needed to look for a big score, but you just don't know. Look at it; it's one of these things. It's one of these things the way it goes. The one thing I just pick up on it was Cathal Murray, the goalie manager, speaking afterwards, and he spoke about he was speaking on behalf of both teams, and what they did and the show that they put on and the effort that they put in, and he was just calling for a bit more financial support for the girls for their team holiday, because last year they went on a fundraising drive straight after winning the All-Ireland so that the team could go away, and rightly so. And Cork will probably have to do the same this year again. So it links back to what we spoke about on Friday with Tom Parsons and 100%. That whole just raising the level for everyone. The lads had to ask for it. I think he said in 1993. He mentioned that's a long time ago, and I think they're the girls are well entitled to it now.
No, I agree. I was actually I had that point in my notes as well. I listened to him last night, and I think it's a fair point. I mean, as you said, they put on a great show yesterday. They've had a tough season. Obviously Cork were victorious. Galway, obviously, will be licking the runes. But these girls do deserve a holiday. So having to go out and try and raise some funds to get on a holiday isn't easy. So hopefully that can be sorted in the not too distant future. But look, we have a lot to get through. So massive congratulations to Cork, commiserations to Galway. Was there any of the players in the game you'd like to give a shout out to? There was some great players on show.
I think Sorcha McCartan, who's Down native originally, I think, or I think it's Down, was spectacular. She just got great scores from play, and I think it's the quality, the overall quality from play, the scores, it was right up there with the men's seniors, I have to say. Galway scores, Cueva Kelly and Carrie Dolan, as always, were leading from the front, so or Cahalan as well. The goal was well taken, I suppose. You look at that, was they were the kind of standouts for me, but it was an absorbing contest. It was tired watching it,
It was, and look, those look, to be fair, Carrie, she's quite physical. She went in hard on a couple of challenges yesterday. And look, I mean, as the game's over now, it matter of opinion, but they were highlighted again on the Sunday game last night. But look, anyways, Cork got the job done. So as I said, congratulations to them. I actually saw a little bit of the intermediate final, but you kind of probably knew from quite early on that Antrim probably had Leach's number. Did you catch any of that?
Yeah, I was on and dipping in and out, but Leach kind of started well. We're in the game certainly, and a couple of scores after half time as well. But Antrim got their goal then, and they rattled off, I think, 4 or 5 of the next 5 points after the goal, and that's when they just took off. But you probably felt there was a gap. There was a gap there. Leach, to be fair, we're just up from the lower division, the Premier Junior from the year before. To progress to the final in year one was super for them. But Antrim, a lot of good hurling and camogie up in Antrim, so they were coming in there as favourites, and they justifiably had a big win. Roisin McCormack pucks 111, that's fair scoring. Ava McAllister not 5, so they have a few class players as well. So that was that game. And the earlier match at the Premier Junior.
I saw that. That was unreal. It was like, I want to make a point, right? And you might correct me here. And there's a point me and Aoife made while watching, but and there's nothing against the lower level, but just at kind of junior level, I feel that maybe the crazy tactics or maybe video analysis not go out the window, but they just seem to play with a lot more freedom, which can sometimes lead to quite a free flowing game, which I felt happened in the junior ladies football final as well last week. So it's just a point I thought I'd throw in there. I really enjoyed this game.
Yeah, it was down to the wire, and in fairness, there was a brilliant hook towards the very end on Niamh Keelan for Cavan. She was true on goal, she was trying to strike it off her right, and just the hurl comes up. So I think that was a goal chance. That would have made a right finish out of it. To see, I forget, there was 2 in it in the end. I forget the exact score at that stage, but enjoyable game, big one for Armagh. In fairness. And I did see there was one of the Cavan players, camogie players.
She plays football for Armagh.
Yes, so that's strange combination, but needs must, I suppose. But unique. That was absolutely. It was a free flowing game. I think to your point, there's a certain element of that across all sports. Just you kind of have you simplify it to what you need to, and sometimes even the better teams overcomplicate things too, not to their benefit. So we saw that in that game there, and it was enjoyable. And again, there was big crowds around again. More than there was up for the football last weekend. I think they were saying it was over 33,000 across the full day for the 3 games. So that's a fair finish for the highlight of the camogie calendar.
Yeah, no, it's good to see. I compare it to even in the rugby. When you see the under-20s play, it's just free flowing rugby. And when you go up the level of seniors, it's just defense is in your face and it's far less space. So the under-20 product is always very enjoyable. But anyways, look, congratulations to Armagh, congratulations to Antrim, and congratulations to Cork. Good way to finish off the camogie season. So where to next?
Well, I know you were all over the boxing.
I was.
And I saw the highlights of Aaron McKenna's fight as well. And, that's another Monaghan world title holder. That's pretty special.
It is. And look, I don't know how much you know about Aaron. I don't know how much anyone knows about Aaron because he's kind of been hidden in the shadows a little bit, but he's been around a long time. Like his dad brought the 2 boys over to America, I think it was 10 years ago. And he was sparring with the likes of Canelo. And you knew from an early days that this guy was special. You really did. So he has been avoided. He has not got the opportunity because people don't want to fight him. He's high risk, low reward, or he was until Saturday night. So, look, it was really good to see him fighting in Dublin. Obviously, his brother was on the undercard. Now, it was certainly a mismatch with his brother. He probably shouldn't have been fighting who he was fighting, but he's another talented boxer as well. So, but look, now he can be spoken in the same light as Steve Collins, Andy Lee in the middleweight division. And, Irish boxing is thriving. You had Callum Walsh on the undercard as well. Kept his undefeated record. Wasn't spectacular, but it was enough. And yeah, look, Aaron, he kind of, I suppose, shut out a previously undefeated fighter, because he doesn't have much power, but he's technically very savvy. So it's really good to see. Look, obviously this card was put on by Zuffa, and to be honest, I wanted to talk a little bit about that, but we
tell me as someone who doesn't know much, but they're the new gig in town. Is that right?
They're the new gig in town, right? And you'd need a podcast on this, but because as I said, I do love my boxing, right? And you listen to Eddie Hearn, you listen to Frank Warren, you listen to, Bin Shalom, and to be honest, they're always talking out the other side of their mouth. Like, you cannot believe a thing a boxing promoter says, because when Conor Bin was with Eddie Hearn, he was the greatest thing since the sliced pan. The minute he left him, he's a terrible fighter. It's absolute nonsense. So they say boxing, like, there's no loyalty and all that kind of stuff. You kind of have to believe that in a way, but you'd need to talk to someone on the real inside, because Zuffa are coming in now and they're really trying to shake things up, right? So now they have rattled a few cages with Frank, Eddie, and Bin Shalom. And Bin Shalom, who I like, by the way, because he's just come in from nothing, and he set up the promotion Boxer. He's really fighting hard, getting a lot of criticism, but he's of the opinion that Zuffa are just basically, they're trying to create a monopoly. They're trying to throw money at everything, have a kind of UFC type model where would be bad for everyone. So I don't know enough if that's the case. What I do know is Zuffa are throwing big sums of money at the likes of Conor Bin, Shakur Stevenson, Shah Opataya, and it's a bit messy at the moment, but I think they seem to have the backing of Turkey, who is, at the end of the day, the man who now controls boxing. But one thing I will say about Turkey is he's given us the big fights. You're crying out for big fights for so many years, and they never happen really, but now they're all happening. So just interesting. Watch this space. I would like to talk to someone really in the know to actually get insight as to what's going on. But great for Irish boxing with Aaron McKenna getting over the line. So congratulations to him.
That's a podcast for down the road for sure.
Well, I've actually tried to get. I've asked Adi Adelipo and Steve Bunce, 2 boxing pundits, to see if they'll step in. So
cool.
So
watch the space.
Well, I'm hoping they will. I've had 2 positive replies, but as to when that'll happen, I don't know. But so anyways, that's our boxing.
Just one final question on it. When would the undercard for Katie Taylor, when does that come to the fore?
Well, it's there. There might be just a few additions. Yeah, it is there. Like Paddy Donovan from Limerick's on there. Adam O'Liney, I can't pronounce the second name. He's on it. There's quite a few Irish fighters on there. But I think there's still a few more hoping to get on there. But
would there be room for an Aaron McKenna to come in now on the back of last weekend, or is that too soon?
Too short a turnaround, Aaron's kind of gone in. He'd be gone into the big leagues now himself. It would be nice. Maybe his brother Steve could get on there, but it'd be too short.
Okay. What about the rugby over the weekend, Mark?
Yeah, so I had mentioned this previously, but New Zealand are actually doing a kind of British and Irish Lions type tour down to South Africa. So they're playing the provinces all with the build up to playing 3-test series against South Africa. Now they played the Stormers on Friday evening. I did watch it, but again it was 6:00, so my kids were still in play, so it wasn't the cleanest watch I ever had. But I would say they were unimpressive. Stormers battled hard, but this I suppose was predominantly a second team for the All Blacks. So I don't see too many of them lining out in the 23 against South Africa. But, it was a shaky enough performance. It was 14-all at one point. The Stormers had chances to kind of go ahead, potentially win the game. But the All Blacks emptied their bench. And to be fair, their bench brought impact. And it finished 38-21. So unimpressive start, but good turnout. And, I suppose the tour is underway now. And they're playing the Sharks tomorrow. And then Les Kiss had his first game in charge of Australia, and they had a real squeaky bum time outing against Japan. Now, this was not on Irish or British TV, so I didn't see the whole lot. I only seen the highlights, and they certainly got out there lucky. Look, Eddie Jones, no matter what you say about him, he is building something with Japan again. Whatever about Japan, he seems to fit in there, and they like his management skills and stuff like that, and the way he deals with people. He's old school, so they're moving well. But Australia just about got out with the win, which then led us to Argentina against South Africa on Saturday evening. It was on an 8 p.m. kickoff. It was great because my kids were in bed, and this was actually a really good test. So Argentina would be very unimpressive in the Autumn Nations, really unimpressive, in fact. But they had some new young blood, a couple of new caps, and good atmosphere in the stadium. And this is probably as unimpressive as I've seen the Springboks in some time. Argentina fired all the shots in the first half. They were 10-3 up, but as all the good teams do, South Africa produced a tryout and nothing to go, 10-all at half time. And then, they probably did control the second half without being spectacular. They got the lead 17-10, and but Argentina for the last 5 minutes were on the line and just couldn't get over. So look, really enjoyable test, and again, South Africa, I'd say Rassie wasn't overly impressed by the performance. He was asked a question in his press conference after. They said Cameron Venecam, I pronounced his name wrong too, but anyways, he must be really pushing number 8 now, and he said, no, Jasper is clear number 8. He's cleared first choice at number 8. So it's not like him to be so, so he was obviously not in the best of form after that. So that was the rugby.
Cool. Brilliant. Rassie is his own man, isn't he? But
he is.
Anyway, we won't go there.
No. And we are now going to athletics.
Yes.
And you have the insight on this.
Well, I don't know if I do, but I do know the European Championships are on starting today in Birmingham. And I just think, there's a 47 strong team heading over from Ireland. So that's, it's been quite big the last couple of times, but that's fairly sizable. And it's probably the couple of, there's a lot of athletes there, but we've a certain amount of key athletes there who'll be looking to medal and medal quite well, hopefully. So that's kind of the interest. And it's always a great one for family viewing. Kids do love it in our house here. Yours are maybe a little bit small for that, but it's just, they get to see all these amazing, track and field events, and it's a bit like the Olympics. There's something about it, and yeah, it's a big one for Ireland. So I think the first maybe athlete we'll talk about is Kate O'Connor. And she's actually ranked second in the world for the heptathlon.
Is she now? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
oh.
So she won in the Commonwealth Games there just recently, so she's like got great form coming into this. But I was going to put you on the spot now, Mark. What are the 7 events in the heptathlon? Do you know them?
I do not know them. I do not. And I don't have time to check them now because you really did put me on the spot. Go on, tell me, Michael.
Anyway, I had to look. You'd guess most of them, but it's over 2 days, right? So there's 100-meter hurdles, there's a high jump, there's a shot put, and there's the 200 meters on day 1. And then day 2 is long jump, javelin, and 800 meters. But isn't that a phenomenal athlete to be able to excel to a high level across all of those jumps, sprints, 800-meter, javelin? You know, it is incredible. So really be hopeful that Kate O'Connor can do well and medal again. That would be class.
She seems lovely as well. And by the way, you could have texted me and said, prepare this answer and look so impressive. You know, they're like, whoa, those guys are on the ball. Must listen.
Heptathlon, so that's Kate. I think the next big one from a global perspective really is Rashida Adeleke. She just made it in. She's just back from injury. I don't think that it's fair to expect an awful lot from her. Just in terms of the workload that she's done, I'd say it's building. You know, she's in the middle of a cycle of training. You know, looking at maybe bigger things, I would imagine. So whatever, you know, I think if she performs well, I think she'll be happy with that. Her team will be happy with that, and just building up to the next Olympics, I suppose. Really,
she's competing in 200 this year. Is it the 200 she's competing in?
Yeah, so I think like obviously she runs 2 and 4, but it's probably a combination thing. I think one feeds into the other. You know, if you want to become a better 400-meter sprinter, if you can be a better 200-meter sprinter, that's gonna help. So I'm thinking back to Michael Johnson way back when, you know, he won gold.
Jeez, he was the man.
For both in was it the 96 Olympics?
He was. We were actually blessed with some amazing, athletes. Probably when we were growing up, Michael Johnson being one of the absolute greats. He was primetime viewing.
Oh yeah, massive. Yeah, that was a big thing. You know, there wasn't as much sport on any TV, so if the Olympics were on, you were watching it. You know,
100%.
Or the World Cup was on, you were watching it. So they're the standout memories, all right. But
okay.
Yeah, that's her. Mark English is another, you know, strong contender for Ireland to medal, I think. I looked him up. He's 8th in the current world rankings, you know, for 800 meters. So this is a European event. So, you know, he's a right chance there. You know, he's won quite a lot of medals at a high level. So it'd be no surprise if he can get over the line.
Yeah.
I suppose the 800 meter mark, you were kind of saying that it's a tactical warfare, nearly that kind of race.
Yeah.
You know, if you get boxed in, you 2 laps, you don't have a chance to get pinned in. You know, it's so strategic, and you need a bit of grunt and a bit of physicality if you are boxed in to get out. Like, you can, the serious elbows flying in those races. So
you would have been good.
Used to it, so.
You'd have been good. I was going to say you would have been very good at that. Get you back in
the elbow back.
Yeah.
The elbow back, yeah. So
okay, and other notable names in.
Yeah, Sarah Healy. I think you know the 1500 meter, and I think she's in the 500 meter. And again, they're quite different events, I suppose. But you know, I think one complements the other, and I suppose it's a huge chance to medal. But I'm guessing the Olympics is your All-Ireland, you know, is your Sam Maguire or your Lee McCarthy here. So these are big tournaments that they're competing in, but it's probably with a view to maybe down the road in what she might do in 2 years' time. But she's ranked 18. Yeah, she's 25. She's still young, you know, very, very young. So you'd hope that it goes well for these athletes. You think of Charlene Mosley, who missed out, and she had quite a bad hamstring injury there, so that's ruled her out. So you want them to go well and get through it. And I suppose the last one I'll mention, Mark, before you want to come in on this, is Israel Olatunde. He's the fastest man in Ireland, you know, and we starting to produce the kind of, you know, it's not just middle distance anymore, long distance. You know, the power and pace that you need for sprints. So it'll be just how can he compare across the European level will one to watch as well, I think.
100%. You're so good at pronouncing names. If I could take that skill off you, I'd be in good shape.
Who knows? I don't know. It's like if you're ever refereed a training match or if you blow with authority, they won't take any. But if you half blow, they'll question you. So it's a bit like that when you're naming a name. Just go with it. Even if it's wrong, say it with authority.
That's actually been a great Monday morning advice as we go forward with this podcast. Thank you, Michael. Yeah. I think you covered probably. I probably covered most there, and it's looking forward to it, and it's nice when you have a big team heading off to Europeans and plenty of action to keep an eye on over the week, and also some realistic chances of picking up medals. It's a nice place to be. So as we said a couple of weeks ago, Irish athletics is really on and up now at the moment. So wish everyone the best of luck in that, and looking forward to tuning in. And then next, I think we were going to football. Is that right?
Yeah. So League of Ireland at home here. So just with the game, I suppose a couple of the games over the weekend. Shamrock Rovers beat Dundalk 3-2. That was on the back of winning in Europe. Their first leg of the Europa League qualifier during the week. So and we see it with a couple of other results. So Shamrock, probably have the bigger squad that can cater with that, but. Let's say Bohemians were playing lost during the week in Europe as well, and I think bottom of the table Waterford, beat them 3-1. So I'd say there's a little bit of jet lag there, and the same for Shelbourne. They were playing Ajax now, which is a big challenge for them, and they lost 3-1. But again, St. Pat's beat them 2-1 it must have been a fairly hot-headed game. I didn't see the highlights in this one yet now, but there was 4 red cards in that. So
saw that.
2 of the 3 teams who play midweek in Europe, are beaten this weekend. So that's just it's a squad depth thing, really.
They don't have the squads. Like you look at the team sheets, and there's very little similarities. So it's hard for them to balance. It really is. But I think overall, I suppose, do you see any of the Irish? Well, obviously Shamrock Rovers, they have a chance. Ajax are coming to town, and look, heading off to Michelin to try and pull that back is probably unlikely. So, but I think the Irish teams did pretty okay in Europe last week. What's your thoughts, Michael?
Well, Shamrock Rovers, it's Europa League, and they're 3-1 up, right? And if whatever happens if they can get through this, the guaranteed European football, be it that they'll have to keep winning to stay in the Europa, or they could drop down to the Conference League. So obviously Europa is bigger business for them financially as well, but they're looking good to play through Europe, and they're probably best placed, to be able to manage that. For the others, I think it's 3-1 down to Ajax, 2-0 down to Midtjylland. They're bigger clubs. They may have been able to rest players during the week. It'll be amazing to see a turnaround there from either of Shelbourne or Bohemians. But look, it's a trickle. That's going to be a slow race. To try and get more teams up, into the area where they can compete. In that it is very, very difficult, but I suppose the Conference League is good in that regard. It gives you a greater chance of getting to play some sort of European football. But we're still always going to be. I think we're still a long way off. Getting teams through those stages and fighting through group stages.
Yeah.
Just realistically, it's resources, players, resources, money.
Yeah, 100%. Doesn't Dan Kelly have something though to tell his grandchildren about? Banging one in out in Ajax like that. That's a cool story.
Oh yeah, geez, yeah, remarkable. Especially we'll go on to it later. Talking maybe transfers if we have time at the end. But
yeah, we will.
One of the guys who scored for Ajax, there's talk of him going to PSG, Mika Guts. So that's a pretty cool story as well. That you're playing against someone who might go and turn out to be one of the best players in Europe in the coming years. So.
Yeah, no, there you go. Look, as I said, Ajax did win yesterday I caught the result. They were away. They won 2-0. I don't know if the rest of the players or not. But look, it's exciting times from them coming to town. And look, I'm sure Shells will give it plenty, and they'll have a buoyant home support on the night. So look, it'll be fun. Where are we going? Before
Scottish
we go
Premier,
yes,
Scottish Premiership. So this, I didn't watch a lot of Scottish football last year, but happened to be watching the last couple of games of the season, and it was all coming to a head with Celtic and Martin O'Neill, and like I don't know if you saw it, but the way they won the league last year was just bananas. Like it was off the wall stuff. You had to feel for Hearts. But then, like when Celtic, 2-1 up, 3-1 up, and the pitch is invaded with a minute or two to go, like it was just
insane,
unbelievable scenes, insane. So yeah, just kind of watching the start of that. They have a couple of games played. I think Hearts lost first day out. Celtic won first day out. Celtic had a big win yesterday against Kilmarnock. Hearts beat Dundee 4-0. Celtic win 5-1. I suppose the other big Rangers then were in the mix in that run in as well. They lost to Hibs 2-1. So it's great. Like I suppose like most Irish people, to support Celtic, but you couldn't have if Hearts had gotten over the line there, you couldn't have felt bad about it at all. So it'll be very interesting to see, can they pull together another big run, on the back of that. Can they go there again, and go one step better, because it's just that they're still not operating on the level that Celtic or Rangers are in terms of resources and finances again, and that's a big thing in the Scottish Premiership as well.
Well, firstly, obviously Martin O'Neill gave all the credit for last season to the Sporting Club Ireland. He did.
That's right.
He did.
Tell us about that, actually.
Well, so he did our kind of first kind of flagship event, and obviously when I this in the diary, and all of a sudden he's getting the Celtic gig, I'm like, oh crap, this isn't great. So he's going to cancel, but he didn't cancel. He showed up, and he was amazing. What a friendly guy! Like, and he gave Aoife and myself his number. You don't annoy someone like that often, but kept in touch briefly, and we met him again at Christmas at the Sporting Club big events awards. So we'd breakfast with him and his wife, and it was nice. So we kind of keep in touch, and but I got no reply for a while. I was like, oh, all right, the dream's over, because I wanted to get him over again or do this podcast, but it turns out someone had leaked his mobile phone. So he had to change his number for the first time in 35 years now. So, but I am still getting back, because I'd like to get him on here. Just to have a chat.
Guess.
Yeah, well, no, because he's such a good guy. Like, I couldn't believe how nice he was, and honestly, his dry wit and humor was brilliant. But he really did right. Isn't it incredible that he went in, turned it around, then your man went in and unfortunately effed it up again, and then he went back and turned it around, and the way that season ended, come on, you couldn't write it. Like, talk about like Netflix, Prime, Amazon Prime documentaries. It's like Raya the Rovers stuff.
Oh, and some, yeah, absolutely. I don't know what sort of footage they collect themselves, but it was unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. And there literally wasn't a minute. There was a minute left to spare in the whole thing.
It's crazy. Like,
but even for the way the fixtures didn't work out as well, and because they got a crazy run of results, towards the finish to give them a chance even on the last day, and they were 1-0 down, just level at halftime, and just before halftime. But you got the sense, the home crowd was humming. But yeah, he obviously has a lot of magic to him. In fairness to him, he's been there, done that for a way in the past as well with Celtic. But yeah, if there wasn't a statue already, I'd say there's maybe a couple of them in commission at this stage.
Yeah, if you ever listen to any, I'm sure you do listen to his interviews, like, they're incredible. He's just, as I said, he's dry wit. He says it as it is. Yeah. He is. And just the last thing on that final day of the season, if I just remember, because even the goal that had them go ahead late in the game, there was a big VAR check, wasn't there? Because I remember running around the kitchen, because obviously I was excited. Wasn't there a big VAR check? Was it the 2-1 one? And it was
possibly was. Yeah,
they won 3-1 in the end anyway.
The last goal then was a breakaway. The goalie was out and carried, ran in from the halfway line. But Yeah, you could be right. I just haven't full clarity on that now, but it all added to it.
I think Paddy Power are paying out on Celtic for the Scottish Premiership already.
Oh, right. Okay.
They sent out a tweet last night. Congratulations on Celtic winning another grueling Scottish Premiership after 2 rounds. So look,
they didn't miss a trick.
No, they did a big win against Kilmarnock yesterday. So look, they've started well. Rangers lost. I forget how Hearts. I think Hearts won yesterday. I think
Hearts won, yeah.
Yeah, 2-0. I think against Dun.
4-0 against
4-0. Yeah, 4-0. Okay. So there we go. Look, again, because you have 12 minutes left now, we've got to fit a lot in. So transfers. Tell me about the week's big movers and shakers.
The one of note, and we talked about it last week, it was on the cards, was Bruno Guimaraes to Arsenal, I suppose. Yeah. And the big thing then there for me is looking at it right now and assuming nothing happens, Arsenal aren't going to offload someone. He's just an addition. He's strengthening their midfield. And that's a big statement by them, on the back of how close they went last year in the Champions League, on getting over the line in the Premier League, and they're just adding in. He's a quality player. He's a box-to-box midfielder, and that's a serious addition to Arsenal. And I know there's a little bit of talk that Zubimendi might be maybe on the radar for City, but I can't see them selling to their biggest rivals. So he's just gonna. I suppose Declan Rice played, I forget how many games he played last year. It was in the 40s, and then, a decent run with England as well during the summer there. So you do need the squad depth, I suppose, to give those lads a little bit more downtime to get the most out of them. I think the feeling was, Rice maybe was waning towards the end of last season.
He was. And even at the World Cup, he looked so tired, didn't he?
He did, yeah. He was a shadow of himself. So yeah, he's gonna go in there, and he's just another option. He's a serious option.
Anything else?
And nothing major, but I suppose if you look at a couple of just 2 others for the big clubs, Liverpool are looking to sign Ronald Araujo from Uruguayan from.
I think it's done.
Barcelona. It's done, is it? Now, okay, yeah. It's a loan with an option to buy. So.
Yeah,
I think Konate left on a free, so they need to get someone in there. I think he fell out of favour with Barcelona, a little bit, and kind of his availability through injury as well wasn't probably what they wanted. So, but he's sort of an aggressive centre half, so he could fit in well into the Premier League. Let's put it that way.
I'll tell you what, if X is out to go by, it's not the most popular sign I've ever seen. There wasn't much positivity greeted from the Liverpool fans, from what I could see. So, I used to use him in FIFA. Thought he was good in that, but I haven't seen enough from him in real life to offer a genuine opinion. But look, there you go. And anything else?
It's the Rodri.
Oh, yes.
One then. City.
Give him everything he wants, but he probably wants to go to Spain at this point. He's probably ready for that big move.
Yeah, I suppose. So it's just City. Where do they go? Like, you think of Kevin De Bruyne was another, similar type of player. Just he was the commander in chief on the ball. Everything goes through him. So I don't know how you replace him really, or who do you replace him with? I don't think there's anyone. No, I suppose it's fair to say new manager, maybe new style of play coming here, but you want to keep your best players. So if he goes to Barcelona, that's a bit of a wallop for City. But I suppose there's still time in the transfer window for them to spend a couple of more 100 million.
Yeah, well, as I said, it'll probably ramp up a bit now again. So okay, and you'd already mentioned the Ajax to PSG one. So. Was there anything else in soccer? Obviously, you had Arsenal here last week. They were in town and sold out. They lost 3-1. And Man United play Leeds here. I think, is that tomorrow?
That's Wednesday.
Yeah,
okay, so that's equally a sellout. Big game. A lot of people going up for that. They're handy ones to kind of get to, in terms of if you want to take in a United game on home soil. That's it's good. They were in the Aviva a couple of years ago, and we went up to it. So. Yeah, you're never guaranteed to see too many of the top players. Is the only thing. If you want to see them, you got to go to Old Trafford or the Emirates. But that's we're kind of building up to. I think it's Friday week now for the start of the Premiership, so it's not far away.
No, no. And okay, so I'm eagerly looking at the clock. We have 8 minutes, so we'll keep moving. So look, the Dublin Horse Show was in town. It's a big event. And I suppose the headline was the 100th Nations Cup of the Agrican Trophy. Now USA ended up winning that. Ireland were second. But it was a good weekend. You can see it's very well attended. It's good, again, like you said, the Camogie last week, it's good for families and all that kind of stuff. But I wanted to give a shout out to my own sister, Tara. She was competing in the RDS again, and she reached the final in her category. Unfortunately, she didn't win. But my own mother...
What category is that, Mark?
Yeah, I see that. I'd text her to ask her. I watched all of it, but you put me on the spot there twice now. I have a lot of editing to do this week. I know she didn't reply to me because she's probably celebrating the good weekend.
That's okay.
But anyways, look,
okay.
It's obviously at her category. It's not. She's not jumping for Ireland or anything. But my mother, rest in peace, was huge, and she did actually jump in the main arena in the RDS. So look, she'd be very proud. So look, as I said, I was watching her in the final, and I wouldn't watch as much show jumping as I do other sports. So I didn't really know what's going on, but there is a video of this. I'm actually quite psychotic when I watch show jumping. So but I was very proud of her, and well done to Tara. So but yeah, cool. It was by all accounts a great weekend, and I think have we flew through everything now besides the sports star of the week and the big call?
We've ticked the boxes, yeah.
Tick the boxes.
All the boxes.
And we still have 6 minutes. This is amazing. Listen, I suppose the sports star of the week, I'll go with, look at Aaron McKenna. When you become a world champion, you have to be in there. Saoirse McCartan, great performance. Look, maybe the Cork Camogie team as a collective. Callum Walsh and Aisling Thompson. They're my this week.
So from there, I'm going to give it to the man Aaron McKenna. Yeah. It's he's taken the big steps now, and looking forward to seeing how far he can get to. So he's a worthy winner. Yeah,
I'm going to give it to him as well. I've changed, but just to become a world champion, unbeaten in Ireland, it's big. So, and he's he seems like a great young man. So yeah, and then look, the big call. Look, I mean, this week there's not a huge amount of calls. So, I suppose, Michael, will Ireland win some medals at the Europeans?
Oh yes. 100%. Yeah, I do. I think some of the people we talk, I kind of hope, Mark English, Kate O'Connor. I know it's just so quickly after the Commonwealth Games, but you hope she's riding high. Sarah Healy. I think they're probably the three strongest. I'm even Rashida off the list just because, well, she has the class and the ability to do it. Yeah, but it's just she snuck in the door. She's coming back from injury. I'd say it's not the top priority for her here. So, but yeah, we're going to medal, and I think we're going to do quite well. Very good.
Shamrock Rovers to get through?
Yeah, they should. They should. Yeah, they're going to get there. Probably they'll be the last team standing. But yeah, they'll represent us well if they are.
And Shells get results at home against Ajax. I don't think they'll go through, but maybe pick up a draw.
Maybe. It'll be a big ask now. Yeah. It will be a big ask. But I suppose, like a no score or low score draw is going to suit Ajax here too. So that would be big.
It would be massive. I got it the wrong way around last week anyway when I was doing this, because I actually thought they were at home in the first leg. So there you go. Another error. So this is like 3 errors today. Michael, I need assistance next week if you're going to ask me a big question to prepare. But look, to be fair, listen, and then look, that's it really. There's too much to get into in the club championship at the moment because there's so much going on.
Exactly.
But Mayo seems to have found a home for the 2-pointer. There was so many on show this weekend in their championship. There was one crazy result in the Dublin championship where Ballyboden St. Hinda's, I think they beat Timpalogue, 2-18 to a point. So, I just want to say that their jersey, Niall Scully's jersey, looked amazing, but tough result. But look, it's way too much to get into. We'll keep shouting out Caltra and Craig's till it's whittled down a little bit. And are Caltra out next week?
Back in action on Saturday. Yeah, Milltown. Yeah, so that's a big game. The way they go in Galway, whoever wins in the group, the winners play the winners in the second round, and the losers play the losers.
Oh,
so
okay.
this is Milltown and Caltra have lost their first game. So yeah, this is a 6-pointer.
Okay. And Craig's are out against St. Michael's. Just want to finish on a very sad note. So there was a young gentleman by the name of Tom Doyle who passed away on Wednesday, August 5th after battling a long illness. He was a Ballygar resident. He was a very good soccer player, played with Chiven Rovers, I believe he played with St. Brendan's. But he also, himself and his brother John, played with Craig's. I think it was 2012, 2013. I remember the two guys very well. Both very likable guys. Tom was, as I said to you before we came on, just real good, energetic guy. I didn't know him well or anything like that, but he brought really good energy to the club when he was here. And I hadn't known about it because I hadn't, unfortunately, seen Tom in a long time. But I saw it just on, it was on Facebook. I saw it, and I had to text my brother Paul. Is that the Tom that played with Craig's? And those kind of things. It's just not nice. And I just want to condolences to his family, and I suppose a sad one to finish off, but he was a great fella. So sleep well, Tom Doyle. And that is it for today. Michael, just a minute to spare. Get on with your day, take over the world, and we'll have sponsors for our segment soon as well. This is exciting. So live the dream, Michael Meehan.
Brilliant. Cheers, Mark.
Talk soon. Bye.